There are certain champions in the UFC who have either held their division up or done something else to anger fans where they may want to see them lose their title. So here is 5 UFC champions the fans may want to see lose. Number 5. Conor McGregor is the current UFC lightweight champion who has also held the UFC featherweight title. He has been criticised by fans for not defending his titles and holding up the divisions. He first won the UFC featherweight title, defeating Jose Aldo at UFC 194. Instead of defending his title against the #1 contender, he had 2 fights with Nate Diaz at 170 pounds and kept the title hostage for more than a year, where the UFC was forced to strip him of his title. When he won the UFC lightweight title by defeating Eddie Alvarez at UFC 205, he put his focus on facing Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match where he would lose by TKO. He mentioned after the boxing match that he has no plans to return to action this year and is currently taking time off. Once again, he has held the lightweight division up where there have been many contenders lining up for a title shot. Many fans may want to see him lose as he hasn't defended his title on 2 separate occasions and is always getting what he wants in terms of picking his opponents. Number 4. Daniel Cormier is the current UFC light heavyweight champion, where his grinding wrestling style of fighting has had fans dislike his fighting style. He won the UFC light heavyweight title, submitting Anthony Johnson by a rear naked choke at UFC 187. He would next face Alexander Gustafsson at UFC 192, where both fighters put on a fantastic fight. After the 5 rounds, the split decision victory was given to Daniel Cormier. He would next face Anderson Silva on short notice at UFC 200, where he basically took Anderson Silva down repeatedly and held him there for 3 rounds to win the fight by unanimous decision. The whole fight was being booed by fans as they didn't appreciate Daniel Cormier's wrestling ability. Many fans may want to see him lose because of his grinding wrestling fighting style, in which his fights have become slow, which has frustrated fans into watching his fights. He has also pulled out of a couple of title fights due to injury, which has angered fans in the past. Number 3. Demetrius Johnson is the current UFC flyweight champion who has been the only champion in the division since the weight class was introduced in 2012. He has completely shut down all of his opponents, where many consider him to be the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Although his fights are so dominant and one-sided, a lot of fans have criticised him of not putting on exciting fights where fans have actually left the arena when he is about to fight. His talent is on a whole new level and is always showing massive improvements each time he steps inside the octagon. Many fans may want to see him lose as he has been the champion for so long and has been so dominant in the weight class that a fresh face as the title holder may make things interesting. Number 2. Michael Bisping is the current UFC middleweight champion, who many fans have criticised him for avoiding top contenders. He won the UFC middleweight title, knocking out Luke Rockhold at UFC 199. He will next defend his title against Dan Henderson, who was outside of the top 10 middleweight rankings, where he won the fight by unanimous decision. The #1 contender at that time was Yoel Romero, who was on an 8-5 winning streak and was demanding his title shot. Instead of fighting Yoel Romero, he campaigned to fight retired former UFC welterweight champion George St. Pierre. After the GSP fight fell out, Yoel Romero was forced to face Robert Whittaker at UFC 213 for the interim UFC middleweight title, where the winner would face Michael Bisping next. After the 5 rounds, the unanimous decision was given to Robert Whittaker. Many fans may want to see him lose, as it seems as though he's always trying to avoid top contenders in the middleweight division. Number 1. Tyron Woodley is the current UFC welterweight champion whose recent performances have angered fans, where they may want to see some other fighter holding his title. He won the UFC welterweight title, knocking out Robbie Lawler in the first round at UFC 201. He would next face Stephen Thompson at UFC 205, where the fight itself was an amazing back and forth contest, but after the 5 rounds, the fight was ruled a majority draw. Although his first title defense against Stephen Thompson was an amazing fight, his rematch with Stephen Thompson at UFC 209 was a massive letdown. Both fighters were hesitant in exchanging strikes with each other, and was a very slow-paced 5-round fight, where Tyron Woodley won the fight by a majority decision. His next fight with Demian Maia at UFC 214 was a very similar fight. Demian Maia attempted many takedowns, in which Tyron Woodley stuffed all of his attempts. From round 1, Demian Maia was literally fighting with one eye, and Tyron Woodley could have pushed for the finish, but decided not to. After the 5 rounds, the unanimous decision was given to Tyron Woodley. Many fans may want to see him lose, as his recent performances haven't delivered to the fans' expectations, and is always getting booed in his fights, which shows fans don't like his fighting style.